The stream has just started. I want to thank you all for coming on to this video today. The title of this video is David Owns Best Interests of the Child and Parens Patriae. Now, this is super important. I'm going to wait for a couple of people to come on. Somebody's also going to share the video to Facebook so that we can get a lot of people watching. So if you did see the video pop up, please share this video to Facebook. This is going to be, once again, one of the most important videos I've ever done. I continue to try to bring you guys really good, strong, and powerful videos. Hey, Tabby. I think it's important for us as servants, as those who are showing people what is happening in the law. And I'm going to make this disclaimer that this is not legal advice. This is me showing you what is in the law for entertainment purposes, except for if you're in my PMA, and then it is what it is, right? But what I want to do today is break down some very important topics for you. I want to help you to see some of the things that have been hidden from us. We definitely have been getting screwed as mothers and fathers by attorneys. One of the doctrines that they use against us is called Parens Patriae doctrine, which means father of the nation. We see that it came from history in the form of working with kings. And these kings would give land to their knights, the people who work for them, and then the knights would work off the land. But if the knight died, and I'm going to show this to you in a scholarly journal, or I'll read the whole journal later, I'll show you some today so I don't fill up the document with, this video with too much. But we are going to have a party. We are going to have some fun. And the reason we're going to have fun and have a party is because for a long time, attorneys will say stuff to us like this. And I'm going to pray and then we're going to get rolling. They'll say, oh, well, I can't give you legal advice. Or your own attorney will say, well, I would help you, but if I talk about this or that, hold on, let me see if I can add this video to my YouTube, my Facebook, I'm sorry. They would say, oh, if I speak up for your rights, they might banish me as an attorney, right? Sorry, shucks, I just dropped something. Hold on. They might banish me as an attorney, so I can't necessarily speak up for your rights, but what I can do is fight to help you get your kids back. So they would say that they're going to help you get your kids back, but they can't necessarily stand up for the rights of the people. And so that's a big problem, because if you are not allowed to stand up for my rights, how are you going to help me get my kids back? What we find is that when most people got their kid taken, right? Most people who got their kids taken with a bar attorney in the room. And forgive me for you not being able to see. I dropped the Bible and I got to pick it up. But what happened is that most of the time when you guys got your kids taken, there was an attorney in the room, right? At least one. So let's not play this game like attorneys are always the ones who are trying to help us win. Attorneys are there for us, because we just had a article come out that said that judges have been trampling their oath, and they have been doing wrong by breaking the law, thousands of them. Now, the problem is that if you could possibly know that thousands of people have trampled the rights of the people. Hold on one second, guys. If you could possibly know that the rights of the people had been trampled, right? And you could possibly know that there are lies that have been told on parents, or they have not had due process, but yet there's an attorney in the room in every single case. There's an attorney in the room in every single case. That means that attorneys were there to witness judges trampling their oath and breaking the law. The question is how many attorneys stood up on your behalf and said, hey, you know what? The judges have been violating their oaths. The judges have been lying to mothers and fathers. The judges have been stealing kids. The judges have been stealing people's property or unlawfully arresting people. Why is it that we don't see a huge number of attorneys standing up for their clients and going after judges with criminal charges? Why don't we see that? So that's one issue, right? Now, what I want to do is I want to show you guys something to help you understand where I'm coming from. I'm going to discuss some of the things that happen with God's people, and I'm going to show you how it's connected to what's happening with people in courts today and how we're getting ran over. Let me know if you can hear me. Hold on one second. I'm going to pray. Excuse me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for your blessings. Thank you for your wonderful love and mercy. Thank you for your wonderful gifts to the children of men. Thank you for allowing us to be able to go back and see your truth, to understand your wisdom, Father, to be able to understand the wisdom of our forefathers who have put this nation together, Father, with articles of association, Father, and papers, Father, to show what they did in the Federalist Papers and why they did certain things, Father, and constitutional conventions, Father, to discuss these issues, that we might be able to go back and understand the foundation and the basis for the decisions that allowed this country to be put together. Father, please help the people to see the truth. Help us be victorious and strong. Lift us up, Father. Let me be able to impart excellent knowledge, Father, simple and plain knowledge, so the people might see the vision and run with it. Father, bring us mighty victory as we know you will. We trust in you and we thank you, and bless all the people under the sound of my voice. Give them victory and remedy, Father. Bring their kids back, because we know that you got power and it's coming, and we take joy in it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, y'all. So make sure y'all share this on Facebook. We about to get jiggy with it, y'all. I'm telling y'all, we about to see some fire. So what I want to do, I'm going to show you watch this. Let me see if I can flip this screen over. Hold on one second. We're going to look in the Bible first, right? And I hope you guys can see this. We're going to start off, excuse me, I still got irritation in my lungs from the freaking grinder. Verse 14, it says, when thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shalt possess it, and shalt dwell therein, and shalt say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. So God said, okay, well, if you want a king, he's going to do y'all wrong, which he said before, but I'm going to choose the king. Thou shalt in any wise set king over thee, whom the Lord God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. So notice they set the king over them. I want you guys to understand this. See this, understand this, let it get into your heart. Because these people chose to get a king like other nations. And their goal was to set the king over them. Now remember that God was over them. So what they ended up doing is choosing to take a man, put that man over them, which means that that man ruled over them and was able to do certain things that they wouldn't like. Now, let's continue to read. He says, like as all the nations that are about me, thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt. Don't take them back to old ways and old things and old bad ideas. That's not good for them. To the end that he should multiply horses. For as much as the Lord hath said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way. Don't go back to where the oppressors are, right? Neither shall he. Now, this is very important. I want y'all to see this. The king is not to bring you back to where you've been freed from. Now, in America, guys, we have independence, and we were that way. Okay, there we go. I saw the stream left for a second. Can you guys see me? Can you guys see the stream? Somebody say something in the comments, please. Please let me know if you can see the stream. Come on, guys. Look and see if I can see the video running live, because okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to check the video real quick and then get off of it just to make sure I can see it. Okay, so don't, yeah, it's blurry because I'm putting you close to the Bible so I can check the other device. I just want to make sure you guys can see. Okay. Okay, perfect. There it is. Okay, it's working. Okay, so let me get back to action then. So let's look. So watch this here. So God didn't want them to set a king over themselves, but they decided they wanted to do it anyway. So God let them know that when you set a king over yourself, do not go back to the old way. Don't try to go back over to Egypt and try to be with them again. In the same way, our forefathers realized that it was a bad idea to go back to England or to go back to the ways of England. What was wrong with England? England had a king, and the king of England wanted to rule over the people of the Americas and did not want them to have freedom. And so we declared our independence, and our forefathers were wise to understand these things that I'm showing you guys in the Bible so that we can understand why our nation is the way it is. So let's keep reading. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. And it shall be, when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law, the Bible. This is why it's in your courts. In a book out of that which is before the priests, the Levites. Now watch this. And it shall be, when he sitteth upon the throne of the king, he shall copy, 19. And it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life. So our forefathers read the Bible, and our nation literally was a Christian nation, even though they say it wasn't. They're lying. It was. That he may learn to fear the Lord his God, to keep all the words of the law which these statutes to do them, that his heart be not lifted up above his brethren. See, God didn't want a king or somebody to have their heart lifted up among the brethren, and that he turn not aside from the commandment to the right hand or to the left, to the end that he may prolong his days in the kingdom, he and his children in the midst of Israel. Now, this is super important, guys, because we're dealing in a situation today where people are telling us that the attorneys are learned in the law and that they needed to create a system called Parens Patriae, which means king of the nation. And the thing is that they tell us that because of this parents... Can y'all see? Okay, y'all should be able to hear me now. Can y'all hear me? I restarted the stream. Can y'all hear me? Hello, hello? Can y'all hear me? All right, y'all should be able to see it streaming now. Can y'all hear me? It's the King James. Okay, y'all can hear me and see me. Okay, so I'm going to try to reset the video on my end because I can't see now. But okay, so let's look. So God let it be known that he was going to put a king in place, right? Now, when God put the king in place, something powerful happened. He put a king in place to be able to deal with his people And God had a way that he wanted them to deal. He wanted every king to learn the Bible. He wanted every king, he wanted the king to know who God was. He wanted the king to study the Bible every single day. Now, these people in law today, the so-called attorneys, are telling us that they have the power to get a CPS judge, a so-called court, to allow someone in the court to take a kid or take somebody from their mother and father who's still alive, right? So in the in the beginning of the Americas, or the United States of America, under the common law, the wife and the child was considered as belonging to the father. Belonging to the father. Now, let's look at something to get an understanding of how powerful this is and why it's important. Because there was a situation already where a king who had all power took a wife of a man, and God didn't necessarily like the situation. And I'm going to read it to you real fast so we can understand what's going on. So we're going to start in verse 2. And it says, "And it came to pass in an evening tide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon. And David sent and inquired after the woman, and one said, Is not this Bathsheba the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?" So here it is, this woman is married. She's married to one of the soldiers. He is out at war. David sees her, finds out who she is. And it said that and David sent one of his messengers and took her. This is a man of God who gotten some wrong after looking at this woman, start getting hot and bothered, and said, "Who in the world is that lady? Go find out who she is." And then he sent the messenger to go get him. She came into his house, right? And he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house. So David had sex with this woman who was married, and the woman conceived, and sent and told David and said, "I am with child," right? That's one of them one night stands that get you in trouble, right? And David sent to Joab, saying, "Send me Uriah the Hittite." Oh, sorry, I'm reading through my phone, so you got to forgive me. And Joab sent Uriah to David. And when Uriah was come to him, David demanded of him how Joab did, and he the people did, and how the war prospered. And David said unto Uriah, "Go down to thy house, and wash thy feet." And Uriah departed out of the king's house, and went and followed him a mess of meat from the king. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and went not down to his house. See, this man was so good and faithful that he decided, look, I'm not even going down to my house because everybody else is fighting at war. I'm not going to leave my brethren and go party and be with my wife when they can't. And Uriah said unto David, "The ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped." I'm sorry, I can't see it very well because I'm looking through a device. "In the open field shall I then go into mine house to eat and drink and to lie with my wife? As thou livest, and thou so liveth, I will not do this thing." So he told David, look, I ain't going over there to mess with my wife. Everybody else is at war. How could I do such a thing, right? So David ended up getting mad because he couldn't get the guy to have sex with his wife so it could look like he had sex and got the wife pregnant. So what ended up happening is, I'll just give you all the short version. David decided that he was going to send him to the front of the battle, get him killed, And then that way, everybody else back up away from him so he would get killed. And when he got killed, then David wouldn't be responsible for stealing his wife, right? So the king who got all this power tried to steal something that belonged to the man in the form of a wife. And it didn't work out the way that he wanted it to. So David ended up getting the man killed. So it says, and when the wife of Uriah heard that her husband was dead, she mourned for her husband. And when the mourning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house. And she became his wife and bare him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord. Now, why is this important? Why am I telling you guys this? Why am I focusing on the Bible? Because the common law, common law comes from the Bible. And what I want you guys to see is that David had did some things that made God upset. Let me know if you guys can see the video, because I can't tell if the frames are still showing or if it's killing it. Please tell me if the video is working correctly. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch to something on another device and let you guys know, excuse me, what I'm trying to talk to you guys about is this whole Parens Patriae idea. Now, Parens Patriae and the idea that somebody has the best interest of something that belongs to you, what I want you to understand is that David killed a man for his wife. Did David have the man's best interest in mind, or was David thinking with his stuff that he should not be thinking with? See, David was a king and God loved him. But David himself made the mistake of killing a man because he wanted to have sex with a man's wife and he was attracted to her. So here it is. The common law came from the Bible. God allowed David to be the king and chose David. David, even though he had a heart after God's own heart, he had a sex problem and an issue of liking beautiful women and wanting to have sex with them. So David, as the king, took someone's wife, killed him over the wife, and God got super upset, so upset that God killed the baby, or caused the baby to get sick and die, who David had by stealing the man's wife. And then God said that because you killed Uriah with the sword, the man whose wife it was, that God was going to keep drama and the sword in David's house forever because of that garbage David did. So watch this. He says, Nathan came and talked to David about what happened. And he gave David an example of a type of man who did a similar thing to what David did. And it says, verse 5. Let me see. Oh, can y'all see verse 5? Sorry. It says, verse 5. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man, and he said to Nathan, as the Lord liveth, the man that hath done this thing shall surely die. Watch this. And he shall restore the lamb fourfold because he did this thing and because he had no pity. And Nathan said to David, thou art the man. I'm talking about you. I'm telling you an analogy because God sent me because you did something wrong in God's eyes. And now God is really upset with you. Thus said the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul. And I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom after he was dead. And gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things. Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord to do evil in his sight? Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife. And thou hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. Just because you got somebody else to kill him, just because you went and put him away in war, and let somebody else do the dirty work for you, don't mean you ain't responsible. It's kind of like when they get police to come with CPS and say, oh, the police took your kids. We didn't do it. No, you sent them to take somebody's kids while they were still alive. So notice David got Uriah killed because he wanted to have sex with this man's wife when he was alive. So he took this living man's wife and used his death as an excuse to keep her after he had sex with her. So in the same way, you have people who believe that they can use what's called Parens Patriae to take your kids from you while you're alive, use them for whatever purpose they want. They say they do it under that Parens Patriae doctrine. But the Parens Patriae doctrine, guys, was only for kings. So we're going to have to deal with the situation where we figure out where Parens Patriae came from. What we're going to do is we're going to use a scholarly journal article, and it's going to tell where the origins of the doctrine of Parens Patriae by Lawrence B. Custer, right? I want to thank Riri for getting this for me, Rianne. Watch this. The beginnings of the doctrine of Parens Patriae, insofar that the doctrine applies to the state's power to substitute the authority for the natural parent over their children. Now, this is going to get deep, guys, because we see Parens Patriae started for kings. Now they're saying that state government has the power to take over the the children of a parent. Watch this. It says, are probably without parallel in the history of Anglo-American legal institutions. Y'all see that? There's nothing like it in the history of Anglo-American legal institutions. I wonder why there's nothing like Parens Patriae in our common law form of government. Watch this. Although the doctrine could easily have stemmed from simple necessity and been justified by legal logic, English judges wedded to the concept of stare decisis chose instead to find their precedent in a 17th century printer's error. Somebody made a mistake and put that the king had power over infants when he meant to say idiots, people who were crazy. And they used this to say that they have this Parens Patriae power, and it was an error, a typo in a document. And they knew that, but they continued to use it in order to take power over people's children when they didn't have that power. Watch this. And remember the article that just came out that I talked about yesterday. This is on the 30th. I'll have to get the link in a little bit. From the time of Edward I, 1272 to 1307, the English crown, this is the second paragraph, had claimed a particular type of wardship over all natural fools and idiots, and claim that was formally recognized by the passage of the Statute Prerogative Regis in 1324. These powers of wardship, which prior to that time had been exercised by the Lord of the Fee, were then exercised by the king's governors and were finally vested in the Court of Wards and Liveries in 1540. In the early years of the court, right? Now, what I'm telling you guys is that this document is showing that there is a idea that these people had power over men and women because they were kings. And the king was ruler over the whole nation, therefore he was responsible for all his people. But we got to ask an important question. What was it about our forefathers that was different than what was in the mentality of the people of Israel and the people who were in England, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it over again, and I'm going to finish reading on the second page of this article. Watch this. Lunatics in regard to lunatics, the crown served as a mere trustee. They served as, you remember in the constitutions where I showed y'all that the government officers are trustees and servants of the people? But in regard to idiots, it had a beneficial interest. The extent of the beneficial interest involved illustrative of, hold on, let me look at the other thing. How valuable this type of wardship could have been to the crown. Forgive me, I keep trying to read through my phone like a clown. Forgive me. Partially as protection for the idiot and partially as compensation for the king's services. So they would take their stuff as compensation for the services of the king. All transfers of property by the idiot were voided, and the profits of his land went to the crown, the king, who was the ruler over the nation, right? The king retained the control of the land during the idiot's lifetime, and at his death, his heirs were required to present a petition in Custer to secure its return. Nevertheless, the court's treatment of the insane seems to have been largely motivated by humanitarian rather than financial concerns. Now, we got to realize, guys, that there is a system that is being used today, and this guy is going to kind of lie about it, but we're going to see. It was, for example, forgive me, let me see if I back up, y'all can see better, it looks a little blurry. If it was, for example, the practice of the court to commit the mentally ill to the individual's closest friends for care. While care for the insane after commitment to individual keepers often left much to be desired, the court itself served in this instance principally as a protective institution, one that exemplified the spirit of the later articulated Parens Patriae doctrine. Watch this. A second type of wardship over the minor heirs had its origin not in the king's protective interest, but in the king's feudal tenurial system. It was this type of wardship that was most profitable for the crown and therefore most notorious for its financial abuses, just like CPS today. A brief review of feudal estates may prove helpful. Tenants who held land, now notice this, watch this, they worked in the military for the freaking king. And they, can you guys see the stream? Okay, guys, I'm back. I'm sorry. So you guys can still see. Okay, so the stream is being kicked off back and forth. So I'm back. And what I want to do is make sure that you guys can hear me. It's showing that it's showing that the stream is going. But I can't see the full signal of it, which is crazy. Okay, can you guys see me? Okay, we're on. Okay, so look, guys. So here's what you got to understand. So the king gave land, which the knight had to pay him back for. So when the knight got into the military, he would serve the king. He would get land right away. The king, the knight could then raise his family. He could have kids. He can do what he needed to do. And what will happen? And the king would take over the property that the property the man had and his kids and anything else. So it would revert to the king. The king would then have the power to make decisions over what was going to happen with the kids. And the wife, of course, if she had debt, she could work off for the king, or she could stay there with him and he can do whatever he wanted to do. So understand that this whole Parens Patriae thing came from a king who is a ruler of the nation. People allowed the king to be the ruler of a nation. Then the king would decide when a knight died to take the kids into his family because the king was supposedly the father of the nation. Now, you're going to have a big problem because he was the political father of the nation. He wasn't the physical father of the nation. He had no rights to the kid during a life of the father, just like he had no rights to a woman in God's eyes who was married to a man. So if you have a man or a woman who have a child, the king is not allowed to just come in and take their child or take the wife, as you've seen by the Bible. The attorneys are using what David Straight taught us called syllogism. They're saying to you one true fact, they're saying to you a lie, and they're spitting them out and moving them across like they all go together. They'll say, well, the state has government power, right? Now, just because your kids, because we didn't think that a parent was fit or we didn't like something, we decided to take the kid from a parent. Now, That you can't do. There is no court that has the power to do that. Why? Notice that in this document that it said that they were just trustees. Now, the reason that this is important is because the bar attorneys have been trying to get us to believe that there is some man in this world altogether at all in the state that has the power to take your children from you or to rule over you based on some Parens Patriae idea that they are the carers for you and they are the heads and rulers of you. But this only works because of the fact that we have been taught the law backwards. And I'm going to prove it to you. Excuse me. Oh, wait, I could do this. Hold on. Let me turn my keyboard on so I can type in some stuff, because it's been hard as heck to try to type and do everything at the same time. If you're getting this and this is starting to make sense to you or starting to get good, please let me know. If it sucks, let me know. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this rocking and rolling. New Mexico. I'm going to show you guys something so you can understand why all of this is important and why the best interest of the child based on the Parens Patriae doctrine is a complete fraud, a complete hoax. Complete hoax. Let me know if y'all can see this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the New Mexico Constitution and I'm going to show you how smart your forefathers are. Your forefathers knew what the Bible said about how a king would sell you the freak out and use you for his own purposes. They knew about how even a man after God's own heart, David in the Bible, went after one of the people and killed him for his wife. So then they said, you know what? We are not going to let a king ever have all political power again. Watch this. I'm going to show y'all so you know. Let's see if David Hosea is telling y'all the truth. Look at this. This is New Mexico Constitution. Section 2, Bill of Rights. All political power is vested in and derived from the people. That means when the people give it to others, it is not lost. They still own it. All government of right originates with the people. Now, this is what we need to see and understand. In our form of government, our forefathers were smart enough to never let a king be the ruler. The people are the highest power. It says it's founded upon their will only and is instituted solely for their good. So if it's upon their will only, is it upon the will of the trustees called the government? No. The government was put in place for the will of the people and to protect their rights, and that's it. So when they try to say, oh, well, somebody in some court has the power to take your kid. Hold on. Parens Patriae means father of the nation, the one with the most political power. See, kings were considered to be the political father of a nation, not the familial father of a nation. So you can't come and take the power over the people who are on equal footing with you. But in America, guys, we have nobody who is on equal footing with us. The government officials are servants who are below us, and everything is founded on our will for our good, and they don't get the ability to make a decision for us. Let's prove it. Section 3. The people of the state have the sole and exclusive right to govern themselves as a free, not subjects of a king, not lower class citizens, not less than the courts, but as a free, sovereign, and independent state. Look at this. All persons are born equally free. Now, if all persons are born equally free, do we have a king that is above us that can show some type of power over us to take anything from us? You don't have this is why the bar is in trouble and they're trying to come out and start telling the truth these days. Watch this. All persons are born free and have certain natural, inherent, and inalienable rights. among which are the right of enjoying and defending life and liberty. Raising your kids is a liberty interest. Having your business is a liberty interest. Right? Being married is a liberty interest. Of acquiring, possessing, and protecting property. Your property belongs to you, not a king. And of seeking and obtaining safety and happiness. Guys, do y'all see this dirty fraud that has been played on us? These people are trying to get us to believe that Parens Patriae works on us, when Parens Patriae only worked when there was a king. If everybody else in government is below us, and we the people have all political power, how could we ever have a king? How could we ever have a king that would rule over us in a court? It doesn't exist. We don't have that in our form of government. As Chris Hallett says, we don't have that emolument. There's nobody who sits in any position of power that has the ability to take anything from one of the people. This is why, in order to take life, liberty, or property, you have to use a jury of the peers. Because the jury shows that the peers are the highest. The peers are the highest in the land because they are equal with you. They are the people. But you have nobody, guys. You have nobody in government that is your equal. Everybody in government is a servant. Everybody is a servant, or they are a some type of trustee or magistrate. They're all the same, right? Let me show y'all something. I'm gonna prove it to y'all. We're gonna go to Virginia. We didn't give a such thing of a king. Watch this. Y'all see right here? That all power is vested in and consequently derived from the people. That magistrates are their trustees and servants, and at all times amenable to them. That means accountable, right? Now you got to ask a question. In your state constitutions, it says that the government is at all times amenable to you. That means they are bound to you at all times. They're accountable to you at all times. But y'all know how these government officials will sit there, you ask them a question, they just get quiet. You ask them what law they're using, they just get quiet. You ask them what jurisdiction they're using, they just get quiet. This is why. This is why we have to have associations, right? Watch this. Let me show y'all. The government is or ought to be instituted for the common benefit, protection, and security of the people. They should be securing your goods, your property, making sure they look out for what you need, not trying to take your kids for a benefit for them. Nation or community of all various modes and forms of government that is best, which is capable of producing the greatest degree of happiness and safety. Did it say that you have to have it said all of us are free and independent, right? All men are free and independent. Well, if we're free and independent, we can govern ourselves and we can make decisions on what we want to follow and what we don't. This is your exemption when it comes to not getting shots. You're free and independent. They don't tell you what the freak to do. You don't need a statute from them to tell you, well, you don't have to get shots for your kids because you're exempt. You need a religious exemption. No, I'm going to tell you what I believe in and what I do, and you're not going to interfere. Watch this. And is most effectually secured against the danger of maladministration, them doing wrong to you, what they do because they're not following the law correctly as the government officials. And whenever any government shall be found inadequate or contrary to these purposes, a majority of the community hath an indubitable, inalienable, and indefeasible right to reform, alter, or abolish it in such manner as shall be judged most conducive to the public will. You guys, as the people, get to decide how you're going to remove them. in the way that seems or is deemed most fitting to you. Now, the thing is, guys, they have told you that they can come in and take your kids and do whatever they want to do because of a Parens Patriae doctrine. But the Parens Patriae doctrine came from the idea of having a king, father of the nation, because the king was the ruler of the nation and above all the people, like I showed you in the Bible. But the people who understood the Bible, who worked in America, understood, hey, this is not the best idea to have a king, because you remember what happened when God talked about having a king. He allowed people to have kings, and the king started taking people's wives and doing all types of crazy stuff and sending people's kids to war. We don't want a king. We don't want to be like England, where we have a king who thinks that he could just dictate whatever he wants to and send some officers in swarms to eat of our substance, to steal our stuff, to rape and pillage in our lands. So this is why in the Declaration of Independence, we declared ourselves as independent from the king. We did that because we understood that he was oppressive and his way of government did not work very well if you wanted to be free. So guys, understand, in America, we are free. We have our own common law. And this is why I'm telling you, it is possible for all of us to have all of our kids back. The law of the land came from the Bible here, and it is the common law. And I told you guys that people as attorneys tried to tell you that your kids were adopted. But the funny thing is that in order to take something from the people, you have to use the law of the land. The law of the land is from the common law, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at adoption in Black's Law 5 so you guys can see it. Excuse me. Okay. So adoption, legal process pursuant to state statute. Now, if there is no king in the state, but the people are the highest in every state, as all the constitutions of the state will tell you, then this can't make sense. Legal process pursuant to state statute, which is below the people, and whenever you're dealing with the people, you have to use the common law. So what they did is they brought you into the court as a statutory person, or said that you work for the government or the military or something, and you don't. Watch this. Legal process pursuant to the statute in which children's rights, legal rights, and duties toward their natural parents are terminated, which they don't have the power to really do for flesh and blood parents. Similar rights and duties towards his adoptive parents are substituted to take into one's family the child of another and give him or her the rights, privileges, duties of a child and heir. The procedure is entirely statutory and has no historical basis in common law. Common law is the law of the land. There is no adoption in common law. If they stole your kid by force, made you sign a freaking piece of paper, which the new article that came out today showed how CPS is in trouble. Yes, another article came out showing how CPS was in trouble because they forced parents to sign some document, a placement agreement or something, to take their kids. And now CPS is said to have no immunity, guys. All this fake immunity they were given. Why is this happening? The bar members are watching videos of us. They know that we're teaching about the common law. They know it's no adoption in the common law. They know that they allowed CPS workers to write fake agreements to take your freaking kids, made you believe the agreements were true and it was a fraud all along. Well, what happens with fraud? Fraud vitiates everything. That means it returns back to how it was before. That means that you could have your kids back because they committed a fraud to take them in the first place. The procedure is entirely statutory and has no historical basis in common law. Well, I can show you in Arizona where every court is to move under the common law. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take y'all to common law so you realize that there is no such thing of a legislature statute in the common law. So when people try to tell you, oh, well, we wrote a statute that said we could take your kids. Sorry, you can't write a statute to take somebody's kid. You don't have that power because any statute that's written by the legislature is not common law. It's not common law. Common law has nothing to do with anything that a legislature writes. Watch this. Their enactments. Watch this. Show y'all some fire. For those who think, oh, kids won't come back. Watch this. Watch this. Common law, right? What is common law? As distinguished from the law created by what? Created by the enactment of legislatures. See, people got y'all believing that the legislature is writing a statute for you. They write Bill HR 666, and you think that they got the power to come force a shot into you and contract trace you. They make a bill called something HR 271 or whatever it was in freaking California. And people are like, oh no, they just made a bill that said that they can stab us with needles and give us jabs and do all this stuff and do testing on us. They just made a law that said they can kill us. Oh my gosh. Let's make another statute and tell them to make a statute that says they can't kill us. Listen, guys, they cannot write legislation for your rights. You can put a declaration of rights there. You can actually change the Constitution as the people through the legislature, but they have no power to legislate away your rights. They cannot do it. It is a lie. It is a fraud. It is disgusting. And if you believe this stuff, you're going to fall into trouble. They don't have the power to do it. We have what's called common rights, not rights that's given by a dang legislature. A legislature cannot give you rights. Let's see if we can see this. The common right here. Right derivative from the common law. Right peculiar to certain people is not a common right. See, if the legislature writes something that says, oh, for people like this, we'll let them have this, but not have that. For people we call obligors, we'll make them pay money, but we won't do it to everybody else. Guys, you have to understand, those are bills of attainder. Those are things that are there creating a thing in statute and saying, we're going to go get that non-custodial parent. We're going to go get that obligor. They're writing something into statute, calling you a person, meaning some type of business where they can write off debt with your social security card and your birth certificate. They'll try to say that you're in business with them, and that's how they get power over you. No, they're in business with that paper birth certificate. They're in business with that paper social security card, but they have no power over the people. There is no adoption in common law. So when some of y'all say, well, they adopted my kids out. No, they didn't. They don't have the power to adopt your kids out. They are not a king. The king didn't even have a power to take somebody's kid who was alive. And these lying attorneys and bar members are telling you, the state has Parens Patriae power, and you elected them, therefore they have the power to take your kids from you. That is a lie from the pits of hell. That is an administrative freaking admiralty law lie where they believe they can seize something or someone over some port law crap that came from Rome that doesn't exist. Right? It doesn't exist. They have zero power. Let me know if this is making sense to y'all, because I'm trying to give y'all truth, and I want y'all to understand that the statutes are for those who decide to work in the state. Now, I'll prove to you how they play this game. So they're going to make a trust agreement, and they're going to try to get you to believe, excuse me, they're going to try to get you to believe, what I do wrong? They're going to try to get you to believe that they have these powers. Watch this. We're going to look at watch this. I'm going to show you how they trap you in some bull crap. And they're not going to tell you how they're doing it, but I'm going to tell you how they're doing it. So when you have a trust, right, you have the ability to agree to be part of that trust. You have the ability to be able to join associations. And you have the ability to leave associations, right? Watch this. I want y'all to see something. Pay very close attention to what this says. Very close, guys. You got to look at this. Watch this. All persons, now watch this, born or naturalized in the United States, and so you can't just be born and naturalized in the United States for them to say you're a citizen. You have to choose to be this, right? All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. You have to decide if you're subject to the jurisdiction. Are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. State you reside is some important words. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. They're giving you privileges. You'll notice in the Bills of Rights in the state that it says that you have lawful right. You have a liberty interest, rights, and power that comes from God. No state shall make or enforce a law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of the citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. This said nothing about you get the bills of rights that protect all the people in every state. This says that you are bound by the laws. You are subject to the jurisdiction thereof of the United States. Well, the United States is a 10 square mile area called DC, right? 10 square mile area. Now, people will try to say, oh, no, that's not true. I'll prove it on a later video if you guys want me to. But what I want you guys to see and understand that there has been a great dirty game played against the people of America. They have tricked you into believing that they have something called a Parens Patriae power that allows them to take things from you while you're still alive as a private court, like a CPS court, a family court. Yeah, that's right. It's called DC. A family court, a child support enforcement court. These people are using DC code against you. And what they're doing is they are trafficking you and your kids. They are trafficking you and your kids. And they're using a private association. The private association is called the National Council of Juvenile and Family Court Judges. It is the biggest membership association in the it's the oldest in America with over 30,000 members. So guys, what's happening is that they have deceived, they have mocked us, they have lied to us, they've used syllogism. They've spit out some truths mixed with another statement that's completely untrue, but then they try to put them together to make it look like they're saying something that's legit, and they just breeze by it, right? They talk about how the state has power. They'll say the state has plenary power. The state has power where they can do all types of things and it's unlimited. The state is unlimited in power under the Constitution and the limits that the people set on them. They are not totally unlimited in power. I'll give you an example of a limitation of the power of the state. The state does not have the power to tell the people that they are no longer in power. The state doesn't have the power to say, hey, we're going to now turn all the people into slaves where they no longer have all power vested in them, right? The Constitution say that the people who work as the state workers are at all times amenable to us. That means that they are accountable to us, can be reformed or altered or abolished at us at all time. They don't have the power to say that you can't remove them. But these people are trying to tell you that somehow they just magically got a power to remove your kids, take your kids and put them with somebody else for money. Can y'all believe that? Yes, the state is just a piece of paper, just some offices that we created. They are not over us. They have no power of us. Notice that God said, you will have a king over you. Our forefathers were smart. They said, We are not going to have a king over us, but the people are going to forever stand over our public officials and servants and trustees to make sure they don't ever get out of line again. So the thing is, guys, we got to understand that our children were not adopted. That did not happen. We are a common law land. They thought that they were going to just sell our kids and we were just going to let them get away with it and we were going to forget about it. We were going to mourn and let it go. They were going to change their names and we were just going to leave it alone. We have never lost our kids because our kids were stolen by fraud. Hurtado versus California says you cannot diminish the rights of the people. The state doesn't have the power to diminish the rights of the people. You cannot do it. So when these people say, oh, well, we just took the kids and we decided to sell them and have you have some fake private contract, right? They got some fake private contract where they're telling you that, well, you signed this and it said that we could take your kids and shop them out and do whatever we wanted to do if you didn't fit what we wanted you to do. If you didn't jump rope high enough and you didn't kiss our butt long enough, then we get the right to sell your kid off, and that's just it. And if you don't sign this, we're going to take your kid forever and put him in a foster home. Guys, the court case that just came out, somebody can post it in here if you got it. I shared it with some of y'all on Facebook Messenger. The case that just came out showed that that was a fraud, and that they got in trouble for that, and there's no immunity for it. See, let me tell you why this no immunity thing is coming out. We have been exposing so much stuff about the fraud that's happening in these private courts that the bar recognized that the people are right at the point where they're going to totally remove this situation altogether. They know that. They know that we're to the point where we ain't having it no more. We understand there's some freaking liars. We understand they are stealing people's kids. We understand that they never had an authority to do this. And we understand that there's a bar member in the middle of every case. See, there's certain attorneys who hate my guts. Certain attorneys who are mad at me because I won't let them get away with the foolishness that they do. And the thing is that these certain attorneys are in the midst of every single case. Every single case where somebody gets their kids taken, you got an attorney in the freaking courtroom, or two or three. You got multiple attorneys in the courtroom watching these clowns stealing people's kids, watching these clowns lying, watching these clowns trample their oaths. Every single day, you got attorneys watching. Attorneys ain't said nothing. Attorneys not trying to get the judges prosecuted. Attorneys not trying to get CPS prosecuted. Why? Because they make so much money. They make so much money that they know that if they get rid of the attorneys, the CPS workers, they don't have nobody to just snatch you in a court and lie to you. See, as long as they got somebody to get you into the courtroom, like they use police for, they'll use the police to steal your kids. Know dang well they should have never took them. Then get you in the courtroom and get you to dancing so they can make you pay them for services. Let me show y'all something. See, what's happening is the attorneys don't want the people to find out the truth themselves. They don't want you guys to step up and say, oh, shucks, I'm not having this anymore. Let me see if I can get that new case. Does somebody have the link for that case that I sent out to some of you guys? I think I sent it to you, Riri. Let me see. I think it was a Texas case. Might have been somewhere else. Sorry, please forgive me. Can you post it here, Riri? My kid's father doesn't believe that CPS sells kids. He laughed at me when I told him. It's sad. Okay, let's see. Or if you could give me the name of the article. Okay, 6/2020 U.S. District Court. Okay, let's see. See if I can get it. What day was that on? Sorry, guys, it's taking me so long. That was a couple of weeks ago, I think. June 23rd. See if I can get it up. Was that for the Ninth Circuit? Nope. Nope, that's not it. U.S. District Court says, okay, that's it. Let me get it. My iPad trying to fall. See if I bring it over some. Sorry. Please forgive me, people. U.S. District Court says. Now we're going to see something just so we can get an understanding. Because the bar members are trying to keep control. And they know that we know that they're committing frauds. But they want to act like they're trying to stop it now because nobody's going to deal with them or have them in this country working if they're doing these wrong things, which Donald Trump explained in his executive order. There's a problem. Let me get it for you. Sorry, guys. District Court says. Is this making sense to you guys so far? Is this video good? Please give me some feedback. CHFS. Come on, y'all. Show me some love if the video is good. Okay, let's see if we can get it right now. Okay, there we go. Okay, this is in New York Tribune. Now, this is good because we're getting a situation where people are starting to see that these people are freaking liars. You know, they're just making up stuff. Northern Kentucky Tribune. Okay, let's see. This may show what I wanted to. I didn't read this exact article. But here it is in the Tribune. And it says, as qualified immunity for social workers has been dealt another blow in the U.S. District Court in Covington by Senior Judge William Bertelsmann. The judge has ruled that in the case of Maureen Nikki Holliday versus the Kentucky Cabinet for Health and Family Services social worker who imposed. Now, this has happened to almost all of y'all. Because y'all have told me. Now watch what they're doing, y'all. See, they know they have no power over you and your kids. So they're trying to make up a fake contract like you guys agreed to do this together. Watch this. The judge ruled, let's see, Family Social Service who imposed a restrictive prevention plan. That's also in some places called a safety plan. They're trying to get you to sign something, guys, and say that, oh, by contract you did this. The documents went to court So, David, the documents we went to court with are no good because it's a fake court, right? Well, you should be working outside of that court too with your own stuff. But talk to me after and we can discuss it. Get Signal app. The judge has ruled, okay, we talked about that. Prevention plan. The single mom was coerced, right? That's what they do all the time. They've been coercing people into signing documents. If you don't sign this, you'll never see your kid again. See, this is the fraud, the wrong, the deceit, and the evil that CPS workers are doing. And where did the CPS workers get the power to make contracts on behalf of people to give themselves power to take your kids and